Yo, GM. What is good, AFM community? It's your boy 0xRapture on this Friday afternoon. We are experiencing some blood in the streets today. So I want to give a quick overview of what my next setups are looking like as we head into the weekend, so you can have an idea of potential plays to be looking out for. I know yesterday's stream was incredibly fucking long, and it was never meant as a stream for you to just like sit there and consume the entire almost 7 fucking hours that it went for. Woo! That was crazy. But you know what? It needed to be done because I had to work my way through that watch list to get myself prepared for the days ahead. And in doing so yesterday, we were able to identify a lot of short setups. A lot of tokens had run up into daily supply and had printed H4 lower lows setups that we were looking to short. So for anyone that managed to follow along during parts of that stream and you caught some of those shorts, amazing. If not, well, you know what? We're in prime territory to be hunting for the next lower high setups on alts. And there's also a BTC long that I'm looking for. You know, we trade the market both ways. And in order for us to get those setups for those lower highs to short on alts, we need to put in an up move. And there is a move on Bitcoin that I'm looking for to capture a long. And then ultimately set us up towards printing lower high short setups on alts, which I am heavily leaning towards shorting hard. Especially the coins that have now put in their second lower low on H4 setups. Let me just check through the chat real quick. Doesn't look like there's much activity in the chat at the moment. That is okay. Give me a GM for anybody that is here. Let me know if the volume is okay. Let me know if my mic is loud enough. Let me know if the music is low enough, and I will get this underway. Let me just do a few things really quick and then we'll start. Excuse me, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, let's see. Jay Buck, good to see you back again. GM. Appreciate you joining us. Familiar face from yesterday. One of the long haulers during yesterday's long ass stream. 0xPajit. That made me laugh. Says GM. GM to you too. And Moses. Another one of the lads who was long hauling it with us yesterday during the stream. GM to you as well. Okay, let me pull up my screen. Oh, where did my screen go? Why did it do that again? Who else we got here? Anon VPN says GM. You know, it's always good to use a VPN in crypto. It's good for OPSEC. Even on your own private Wi-Fi, it is good for OPSEC. Big fan of the VPNs. So GM to you, Mr. Anon VPN. Let me adjust my screen size here. What's that? Got an alert for an AVAX Monday range low into bullish daily breaker. Shall we take a look real quick? See what it's looking like? Let's take a quick look. Okay, it's dabbing into the Monday low within an area that we outlined, that we'd be looking for a potential lower high on AVAX because it's printed a daily higher high. Right, we slammed right up into that 3-day supply, but we've come back down after printing a daily higher high, which not too many coins can claim at the moment. Very few have put in daily higher highs. But here we are, we're into this breaker area now. It's come down and it's sweeping, potentially trying to put in a sweep of the Monday range low. That is something to look out for. I don't want to be getting trigger happy here with 3 hours to go on the H4 candle close, but you do have a potential long here if the market might be putting in a local bottom. But we will circle back to that. Let's start with Daddy Bitcoin. For those of you that are in the Daily Edge 0xRapture's Thoughts Telegram community, you will see that I posted a few setups that I'm looking for. By the way, let me get those things out of the way really quickly, all the formalities at the beginning of these streams. I am 0xRapture. This is Astrology for Men. Coffee, charts, and a cigarette. Well, I will chart any shitcoin with a pulse. Although our recent focus has been squarely on sex pairs, on majors, on the perps pairs. But I do still trade on chain. I want to give a big shout out. 1 second. Where are my banners? Let me get to the streaming app dashboard. Let me do this stuff really quickly. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of the show, The Daily Edge, thedailyedge.com/subscribe, which is a daily newsletter written by my good friend, Mr. Onchain Wizard, full of actionable intel, insights, and information about the day before. It is a free newsletter, free to subscribe. I highly suggest you go and do that. Even though I have access to all this information on the ground floor, I still read to get his insights daily. Also, big shout out to ChainEDGE.io, which is an on-chain analytics platform tracking the top 0.01% of DEX traders by profitability, where you can monitor the real-time flows. The attention dashboard also gives you information into where the attention is focused in the market, as well as smart follows and where the hot ball of money is circulating on-chain across Solana and EVM. And a recent W for ChainEDGE is we've got these portfolio alerts. And the most recent on-chain runner for Solana was Ghibli, and the ChainEDGE portfolio alert caught Ghibli at 2.1 million, which has run up to a high of almost 40 million. So big W there from ChainEDGE on those portfolio alerts. And what are their portfolio alerts? Well, it's an alert that gets pinged when wallets that we track, the smart wallets that are tracked by ChainEDGE, accumulate over $100,000 balance of a token, showing a significant increase in accumulation holdings. And often, especially when conditions are conducive to it, hitting those portfolio target thresholds leads to a runner. And there you go, most recent runner. So yes, don't forget, links you can find in the About section below if you're joining from Twitch, or in the video description on YouTube, or from my X account if you're watching and joining us from X. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the show. Okay, we've got all that shit out of the way. So, Bitcoin, what are we working with here? We had been in this tightly consolidating interim range here on H4. But we marked out and noticed and pointed out on daily, we were putting in continuous SFPs of this daily level on the Binance Perps chart. And this really highlights to me how the Binance Perps chart is the primarily monitored and traded chart in crypto, because on the Binance spot chart, there was no SFP. On the Bybit chart, there was no SFP. Coinbase, no SFP. But what do you know? On the Bitcoin Binance Perps short, we were putting in this daily SFP here. And I pointed out a few times recently that we've put in daily SFPs on Bitcoin, what the result has been. Well, we're starting to get that follow through. Doesn't mean we're just going to nuke straight down into here, but it does mean that this was what we were monitoring. If we pop over to H4, you can see there was a lot of activity to try and support this level, but it didn't really seem sustainable to me, and my view was for lower. We've also, in doing this move, we've managed to take out the gap on the CME futures chart for Bitcoin, which was a gap we had been monitoring. Usually gaps get filled on the CME chart, just happens. And there we go, we filled it on daily. It would be great if we managed to close within or above it, but we shall see. Looking for some sort of bounce here, but we're not trading the CME chart. It was just as a target, right? We were using it as a potential target, as a draw for liquidity. Well, so what do we have now? Bitcoin has come down to the range low of the H4, and H4 is still a bullish market structure. What I don't love is that we've front run so far the level. I really want to see price come in, actually swipe it and take it out and get a close above, give us an SFP of that level. And I'll be looking for a long, like in the tweet that I put out, I said, we are actually looking for a potential Bitcoin long. Well, this is where I'm looking for it, right? I mentioned in the AFM TG or the Daily Edge TG channel, I posted 3 different setups that I'd be looking for. One was an SFP of the H4 range low to get long. 2 was we potentially put in some sort of swing level while this was taking place before we reach there, and then we get some sort of H4 interim swing low that we could take advantage of as a setup. Now that middle one has been negated because we're all the way down at the range low. Now we actually want to see it swipe that range low, because if it stops short of it, my gut says it's still at some point going to take that out, so might as well just get it done now. On top of that, we had the Monday range, which we have lost. Price closed below on H4, underside rejected. Now, what I am looking for, as I said, is an H4 sweep of the range low, which I would have my stop below that level, whatever the sweep level is, and I'd be looking to get long. Most likely up into here. You know, I do think that the bounce from here, because it has been so aggressive off the Monday range low, will be an underside retest. Now, conversely, if we manage to close back within the Monday range, which was the third option of how I'd get long, we'd be looking to take it to mid-range and potentially back to the Monday high. But we're getting ahead of ourselves there. For now, next step we're looking for is that H4 range low SFP as a trigger set up to get long up into here and potentially up higher into the Monday range, yet to be seen. But we are looking for a reason to get long here, right? What do we talk about all the time? We want to be getting bearish at range highs, or looking for reasons to short at range highs, and bullish at range lows, looking for reasons to get long at the lows. Well, we're at an H4, a significant time frame range. We're looking for a setup to get long here. Until it takes that out though, I'm not trying to just front run this, right? I want this to actually give me an SFP with an H4 close above. Because if we just sort of stall here without taking out the level, my gut would say that over the coming 4-hour candles, we actually do go below. And in that instance, I would actually think we have a higher chance of closing below it, which would completely erase this setup, right? If we get an H4 close below here, we're looking at a different type of setup than what we're dealing with now. So this is the if this, then that I'm looking for at the moment. Moving along, we can take a look at ETH. Was a massive sell-off. You can see we already had an H4 lower low, right? We've printed an H4 lower low, whereas on Bitcoin, we're still within the H4 range. Yes, this was an intra-range level, but the actual H4 range, we're at the bottom of the range now. Well, ETH's printed an H4 lower low, so we're going to go ahead and mark that off. And quite an aggressive sell-off. You know, if we're looking at that, that's quite an aggressive sell-off. And looking as though we're going to close below this daily swing level. It's not a structure defining swing level, so it's not as important as the actual daily range low, but it is significant. So I think what we're looking for on ETH is if you get some sort of bounce up into here, right? Like say the H4 is forming a low here. We have this massive fair value gap. We're looking to take a short in this area. Yes, your H4 swing high is all the way up here. And yes, it very well could push up into actual supply, but I think this displacement was so wide that ETH's not going to be strong enough to get all the way back up here. You're looking for some sort of bounce into here to short. And not overly compelling as one to look for on a long. Like, let's take a look at the Monday range on this. Like, we're well below that Monday range there, right? So it's not as compelling of a long to me. But get a bounce up into there, potentially aligning with this, putting in a bounce. Well, you're looking for some sort of short in there. And what are the setups that we look for? Well, maybe it's some sort of, maybe H4 puts in a swing high in here, and then it gives you an SFP setup, right? Like we're looking for lower highs. So in here, you just want to look for the makings of lower high price action. Maybe it's an H1 trigger. Maybe that's all you're going to get is an H1 trigger. But when price gets up into here on ETH, you're looking at that as a short. We can take a look at Solana. Also below the Monday range low. Now, this is interesting because as we were talking about on Bitcoin, if it recaptures the Monday range low, this is a much more, this has the potential for much more upside if it recaptures the Monday range low. We're nowhere near that territory at the moment, and right now it's looking rather weak. But I do also notice, like, we have another fair value gap here, right? And Solana had already put in an H4 lower low yesterday, so this was a prime candidate for a short after yesterday's stream. And you can see it did run up into supply and sold off heavily. But we're into the next lower low on H4 for Solana. Right, we've printed a new lower low. So my bias is whatever the bounce looks like from here, we're looking for a lower high to short, whether that's in this fair value gap, whether that's all the way up into supply, whether we get a nice run, recapture of Monday's low, well, then you'd be saying to yourself, okay, maybe it pushes up towards the mid-range into actual supply. But we are looking for lower highs to short, especially since, you know, we're doing that inverse of bullish stair stepping. We're doing bearish stair stepping, right? Lower low, lower low. So we're trying to ride the trend, and you don't want to be trying to fight the trend here because we ran up into daily supply. And when you get a tag into daily supply, you're looking for the lower time frames to realign with the overall high time frame trend, which was a bearish market structure. So we've since H4 lower low, that's your trigger. H4 lower low, there's your next trigger. Let's take a look in the chat, see if there's any questions. I see JJ in the chat. GM, buddy, good to see you. Always appreciate you being here. J-Buck says he took a short on SUI from 276. Well, let's open up the SUI chart real quick. From 276. From all the way up here. That is a beautiful short that you've managed to capture. And you did have that H4 swing high trigger. This was an area that I was monitoring as a fair value gap, but it has since failed. We're now down at the range lows. H4 is still bullish on SUI, but that was a beautiful short entry, right? Like we talk about those SFPs on, significant timeframes like H4 being quality signal, especially when you're within an area of daily supply, right? Like these are those multi-time frame analysis that we like to run and we like to talk about, right? You get your primary, your high time frame is telling you, okay, in this area, I'm looking for a reason to short H4 SFP of a high into daily supply. There's your result. Now we're into the lows. Is this a potential relief long in the making? Still a while to go, right? Like we have just under 3 hours until these H4 candles closes. So these will be interesting closes to monitor later in the day. But great job on that short. You caught it from near the top, which is great. Was your trigger seeing the H4 SFP? And did you sort of put your stop somewhere around here? Beautiful short there. Let's move through some more of these and see what we've got. Okay, Cardano, right? It had already printed that lower low, and this was the supply zone that I outlined during the stream yesterday. And look at what we got there within supply, H4 SFP, right? And now we've got the aftermath of that, of a lower low. Now we can see something interesting here happening on Cardano. Is it's attempting an H4 SFP right there. There's your lower low. There's your swing high. Now we can pull this down into here. If the market does manage to give us these counter trend moves to the upside, to find the lower highs, right? You can absolutely trade this both ways, right? If you get an SFP here, when this closes, it's also come down into an area of, what is that? Is that monthly? That's a monthly demand, right? So if you get an SFP here, you can absolutely try and long this up into supply. But ultimately, we're looking for shorts in this region. Right, and you had a couple things here on Cardano. You had this tightening daily range. You put in an SFP of the high, SFP'd the high, H4 lower low, tagged into supply, boom. Right, like those are the optimal setups you're looking for. You're looking for the realignment on lower time frame to signify to you that the market or the price wants to trade lower. You get that daily SFP. Quality trigger, you get an H4 lower low, you're looking to short that shit on a retest into supply, which is what this gave you here. It even gave you an H4 SFP within that previous supply. So I'm not overly compelled to long any of these alts at the moment. Truthfully, the one that I'd be looking to long. Oh, there we go. We got the sweep, the tag of that level on Bitcoin. Now, just under 3 hours to close. But if we close like this, we've got our setup for a long. You could even potentially pop down to H1, right? Like this is looking promising, but we don't want to. Let me rephrase. It's not that you don't want to just absolutely take this trade without the close. You can absolutely do that, but you'd have to adjust your stop accordingly, right? Maybe you'd put your stop below that level there, around 83K. But we're getting that H4 potential SFP here. I'm looking to get long on this on a close. I do like a proper close, although H1 might be the acceptable close, right? If you get an H1 close like this, you just long, put your stop loss somewhere down around here. You can get it pretty tight because this is, low time frame. And we're looking for a bounce potentially up into here and then assess once we get up there. But this is what we've been looking for. And if Bitcoin is putting in that SFP, well, then you're saying to yourself, okay, some of these alts, if they're putting in SFPs, I want to potentially, you could take them as long. I'm a little more cautious on these alts right now because the volatility could get a little bit crazy. And I'm more interested in taking the Bitcoin long to then short alts. I'm much more interested in taking shorts on these alts than I am longs. But the Bitcoin long and potentially the Solana long here, like if it get, but it's still way below here, and you haven't had any sort of interesting SFP or anything on Solana here. So really the cleanest chart right now is Bitcoin here. But you can express your views, right? Like what we do is we use Bitcoin for our bias, and then you can express your view on the market, whether you're long or short across alts. That's what they're there for. And J-Buck says, yes, the SFP on the 4-hour chart was his trigger for that Sui short. Awesome. Congrats, buddy. Good job taking that short. Glad you were live with us to catch that setup. And you were able to take advantage. That is what we're here for. I love hearing it. Let's move along a little bit. I'm not going to run through all of these because obviously that was a long ass amount of time yesterday. But we can just start dropping down through some of these and we can see, you know, H4 lower low. Massive fair value gap here. H4 swing high is all the way up here. Oh, that dog is a barking. Someone needs to take care of that dog. So, Aptos. Getting a decent bounce off of that area of daily, or that's probably a monthly, yes, monthly area of demand. But I do believe, because my bias is now short after we've lost the H4 range low, something up into here is a prime candidate for a short. Maybe it gets all the way up into supply, but that would be a significant move if it did. And I don't know that we'll be so lucky. Like, you have these massive displacement candles, right? On H4 with these massive fair value gaps. My expectation based on probability is that you're looking for short setups and something like that. Let's just keep moving along. We can probably pound through a bunch of these, to be honest. Okay, AVAX. Like we said, tagging the H4 or tagging the Monday range low. It has, however, put in a lower low on H4. But like we mentioned, it's one of the few coins that has put in a daily higher high. We get rid of this, right? It's a daily higher high. If this manages to hold this, even on an hourly, let's say this closes hourly like that, I mean, even that's looking pretty decent. You could give this a shot as a long. How high does it go? It's tough. It's tough at the moment. Because really, I'd like this H4 to close properly. And then maybe you're looking for a bounce into here. It is really remarkable using the Monday range, how frequently it respects those levels. So, right? Like, look at it stop dead on that area. Shout out to Trader Main, the Monday range specialist. But again, bounces on alts, we're looking to short. We've made that lower low. At least for the interim, right? Now, AVAX is a little bit conflicted because we did print that daily higher high. So maybe it pushes a move back to try and get back to that daily level there. Maybe it shows strength against the market. I'm not so convinced that that's what happened. I think realistically for now, we're looking to short the shit out of these alts on a move. But notable that it's held the month. But look at how, as soon as it got back within the Monday range, right? Deviation back within the Monday range, boom. BCH, so this was one that we were looking at during last stream as a potential holds the Monday low. It did put in some of a move, but it wasn't even strong enough to get back up into the Monday high. And key in determining our bias, to layer our bias, was that the H4 had made a lower low already. And while we were running the stream yesterday, I said, you do have a setup here, but that I was not very compelled as it for a long. Just given who the fuck is buying Bitcoin Cash, but also that it had printed that H4 lower low. So again, we are seeing so many FVGs on H4, those fair value gaps, after printing consecutive lower lows. What is that? Is that a daily level there? Yeah. I'm gonna probably delete that. Right? H4 fair value gap, lower low, second lower low in that bearish stair stepping pattern. Well, any bounce up into here, maybe even just up into here, like this is how weak this is. Maybe you just get a bounce there and you can't, like, that's not a great entry for a short, but that is a potential area where people would look to short it. But ideally we're getting some sort of bounces. Let's take a look at Bera. Okay, this is one that I shared with some friends yesterday. I said the two potential outcomes on Bera that I'd be looking for is we come down into here, into the Monday low, sorry, the Monday high, hold that, it's a long. Close below here, it's a short. Well, it's holding for now. Maybe Bera gives you one more push up into the range high, right? We did have an SFP here already on H4. Well, maybe it gives one more push up into the range high with an SFP. Well, then it's a pretty clear trigger to short. But provided it's above this area of H4 demand, it's bullish. Below, it's bearish. So you can look for potential next long, if you're so inclined, would be something like, you do see we have the swing level there on H4. So say this stalls here, but you think it still has more juice. You get an SFP down around here, you could look to long it again, ideally up into the range high here. Or if you get an SFP here, you look to short it. And then if it loses this level, then you can compound those shorts. Hopefully that makes sense. Checking on Bitcoin real quick. Yeah, it's holding this. We really want to see this H4 close as an SFP and I will long. I don't want to get trigger happy. Like I want to see the H4 close because, and we haven't gotten an H1 close yet even, right? So like it's premature even from an H1 perspective, but I really want that H4, even if it means I'm not longing it from the Pico bottom. At least it gives me a clear invalidation. Moving along, BNB. BNB has been Chop City. It's just ping-ponging around in this H4 region. It has not lost H4 structure. What's this doing on daily? It's an area of daily demand because daily on BNB has actually printed bullish and it's holding a monthly level, which is why you're seeing a little bit more strength out of BNB than other coins. In terms of what I would look for, I mean, maybe if it gives you one more stab at this, you could try to long again to align with the market, right? It's been trading the Monday range really faithfully. So maybe it gives you one more stab down here to get long. But if the market overall, we're viewing it from a perspective that we're looking to short lower highs, even though this hasn't broken structure, If this gives a bounce up into here that aligns with the rest of the market, hitting those lower highs into those short regions, this is a potential area for a short. It's too early to tell though. I'm just going to keep plowing through because this really helps me, because I had to do this anyways today. This is what I'm looking for, is these next H4 short setups. It's daily. Right? H4 lower low. But it had put in a daily higher high. This looks as though we're threatening a lower low on daily though. So if that's the case, if DOT closes and loses the daily bullish trend, paired with that H4 lower low, if we're going to hit a daily lower low, solid candidate to short the shit out of. And I would look at this breaker potentially with a bounce that coincides with the Monday low. Give me something in there. Just this one. There. All right. You get a bounce up into here on DOT, you're looking to short that shit. I highly doubt that it has strength to get back up there, especially if it loses the daily trend. I mean, look at all these, right? Lower lows. Not great sign when you're in daily supply, because when you're hitting up into an area of supply, you're looking for the trend to realign with the high time frame. Well, you know, maybe if fill gives you a fill up here, it looks so weak though. I just don't really, I don't know. You can get rid of that. You can see you had a daily SFP there too. Bring this down. Here's your H4 higher high. H4 swing low. Attempting to put in an SFP here on H4, similar to, was it AVAX? No, what was it that was similar to ADA, right? Like, you do have potential long triggers setting up. I'm just not overly anxious to, or overly thrilled to be trying to long these alts. I'd rather try and take the Bitcoin long and then short the shit of the alts to capture more of that upside. But you do have the potential makings of a counter trend setup that would bring you up into these areas that we're looking to short. Like, this is what we want. You want to set an SFP on a low to get a counter trend move so that you can look to short the shit out of them. And I do truthfully believe that we're looking for shorts on many of these coins. ICP, look at that. Outlined on stream yesterday. H4 lower low, tag into supply. Boom. We've now put in another lower low. Now, the key thing to do that you need to be mindful of is you can't be trading every single fucking token. It's just not feasible. What you want to do is you want to be earmarking the coins that have been the weakest and looking to those as your prime targets to short on the bounces. Same thing when we're in looking for tokens to long, we want to look for strength to long those as beta upside to Bitcoin. Well, we want to be looking for beta tokens to go short against Bitcoin. So tokens that have been putting in the most aggressive moves today, the tokens that are hitting 8, 9, 11% down moves, those are your prime targets for when we make a move to set the lower highs that you want to target as your shorts. You want to be capital efficient, right? So wherever you can capture the most upside in a move is where you want to be directionally placing yourself. I know that goes a little bit counter to what I just said about how in these counter trend moves for a long, I'm more interested in longing Bitcoin, but that's just because the environment we're in does not leave me feeling comfortable in taking a long setup on alts. Even if I'm looking for them to put in a lower high move, I would much rather capture some of that move through Bitcoin and then express that short on alts. So if ICP gives you something up into here, probably even into this monthly level here, right? Like that was the monthly level we outlined. Yeah. You know, with 3 days to go, it's not looking like it is going to hold that monthly level. Who knows? We'll see. But my instinct would say you short somewhere around here. Let's keep it moving along. Let's blaze through these. Look at that. H4 lower low, supply, boom. H4 lower low, supply, boom. Now these moves now have been quite aggressive, right? Like here's our next H4 lower low. But I would venture to say we're not going to get bounces anywhere near as strong as up into the actual supply. I think these fair value gaps are really prime targets. And look at this right here, right? H4 SFP within daily supply. Prints the lower low. Boom, right? Like when I say you want to capture the beta moves, that's a fucking beta move, right? Whereas Bitcoin, which didn't even give you a great entry other than this daily level that it kept failing, right? Not even 5% move versus, was it? No, it was injective, right? A 14%. Which token would you rather be shorting, right? Let's keep this moving along because we can probably plow through. Look at this beautiful setup on Litecoin, right? H4, lower low, into supply. Swept the daily level, right? Just laying these setups for you guys on a platter. But none of that matters. The most important thing is when the setup takes place, just fucking take the trades. Right? So we've now had another lower low on H4. And by the way, guys, if you are looking for a Perps platform to do your trading and you're looking for a new place to trade, don't forget this whole watch list we're working off of was because I wanted to consolidate all of the Vertex Perps pairs. Well, if you're looking for a platform to trade Perps in a decentralized manner on chain, then Vertex is a wonderful platform. It's where I've been doing my trading. And if you look in the description on YouTube or in the About section on Twitch, there should be a link to Vertex. Go and jump on there. No KYC, liquidity is good. Execution speed is fucking phenomenal. Like we're talking, it feels like about a second quicker than the other popular platform to trade Perps on that I also trade on because there's different pairs available on Hyperliquid, but I do really like trading on Vertex. And that's where this watch list, all these pairs are from. And you can find, if you go and join the AFM Telegram community, there's a link for this watch list as well. If you want to trade on Vertex along with me and follow along in these charts, well, there's a whole watch list I put together so you don't have to. Because as much as I love and enjoy trading on the Vertex platform, I really prefer to do my charting on TradingView. You get the benefit of alerts, you get more reliable price signals in terms of levels, especially since, as I mentioned before, we want to be monitoring the Binance Perps chart as sort of the canonical charts across the industry. So that's that. That's my spiel. If you're looking for a platform to trade on, use my ref link for Vertex and get in there, son. Let's keep this moving along. Okay, look at this. This is something I drew and sent to some buds last night. It was like, okay, we lose this H4 level. I'm looking to short the shit out of this, right? We're up into daily supply, even 3-day supply at that. Well, we've printed that lower low. Now I'm looking, because we printed the lower low, I'm looking to short the lower high. Like there's a theme here today, right? On all these tokens, we're looking to short the lower high. Is that a daily? Yes, that was a daily SFPs. And here we are. There's the H4 swing high. No low in sight yet. Let's take a look with the Monday range. We're below the Monday range. I mean, this is going to be a struggle to get back up here, but this is a potential candidate that if you do get an H1 or H4 close back within the Monday range low, you could absolutely look to long that up into this area here where we're looking to short. But even in isolation without that, right? Like we are looking to short a bounce up into here on injective. Or sorry, on near. This is near. Yes, there is a consolidation here, so you would suspect that we're going to get some sort of bounce from this level, but we are looking for those lower highs to print. Let's keep this moving along. Money. Just fucking money setups, right? Money. This is S. SFPs, the daily range highs. H4, lower low. Supply. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Now, obviously, I can't spoon feed all these to you. The whole goal through these streams and over time is that you learn to recognize these things for yourself, right? Like you're looking for your high time frame bias. Once you're into your high time frame area of interest, you're looking for the setups on lower time frame to align with that bias. Well, this is a prime fucking example. And what do we have now? We have a fresh lower low on H4. This has been such a significant move. I mean, almost a 12% down move. Like, let's even see. Well, we're approaching the Monday low. So potential for a bounce. There's a fair value gap here, but I think this is really, that may be all that it's going to be able to put together for a bounce, right? So let me move this one so I don't have to. This may be all that she's in for a bounce. You've got a monthly level there. You've got an H4 supply. Where is even the H4 swing high is still all the way up here. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible that it gets up there and maybe it just wants to take out one more daily SFP, but truthfully, the bounce from here, we're looking as a short. Let's keep this moving along. H4 SFPs within daily supply. Like these were things I was doing during the stream yesterday. SFP, SFP, SFP within daily supply. Look at that move. You know, I put out a tweet this morning saying days like today are a really great opportunity to go through your follow lists, whether that be on X, on YouTube, wherever you're getting your information flow, and look for the accounts that have been telling you to long every dip and that the bottom is in and we're up only from here, or that they bought every dip and blah, 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 all that shit, right? Start unfollowing those accounts because they are giving you nothing but bullshit. They are just guessing and talking their bags, and they aren't approaching it with any sort of system or thesis or strategy other than moon boy price go up, right? You need to look at the overall trend. And like we've pointed out for the past, when did Bitcoin break trend? How long ago was that now? When was this, right? When did we officially break down? 1, 2, 3, almost 4 weeks ago, we've been saying the trend is bearish. That's not a happy looking weekly candle there, by the way. But for weeks now, we've been saying the overall trend is bearish. And while we're trying to catch the counter trend to go long, which we did on multiple occasions, we've been trading this market both ways. Well, if this, then that. And now we're getting those then that's of lower lows on a significant time frame within a daily area of supply. And people that were getting bullish, telling you bullish things into the range highs, we're so backs, just go fucking unfollow those accounts, because they're going to lead you towards losses. I'm not just trying to talk myself up and like big myself up and, oh, look at me, like I call, like, you know, no, fuck all that shit. I was in that position before. And I went and learned all this shit so that I'm not in that position again, so that I can take my own future into my own hands and be accountable to myself for what takes place with my account. Simple as. Okay, well, S coming in towards this Monday low, if it can stab and take this out, would be great. But, you know, if we could construct a PA here on an hourly, you do have a setup to, you know, chase it up into there. Although, like I said, we're looking at almost all these coins as shorts. Look at this, say SFPs within daily supply. Like, these are beautiful triggers. Beautiful triggers. Okay, let's see what we can see here. Where is the true swing low on this? The H4 swing low is here. Put in that H4 lower low. Yes, it is towards the bottom of the Monday range, so you could be looking for potential long setups to push back up. This whole area here, is where I'd be looking for the short, right? Yes, your H4 swing high is all the way up here, and it very well could trade up into there, given how large this displacement was, how big this move and aggressive the downside was. I don't think the bounces are going to get us anywhere near these supplies up here. I think it's going to be either within these breakers or these fair value gaps. Moving along. Okay, SUI. This is why we wait for closes, right? Like, front ran the level there. Now we're in H4 and we're below. If this closes below this level, we're looking at a different trade than whether this is an SFP, because as it stands right now, H4 on SUI is still bullish, right? Yes, there was that counter trend. SFP on H4 and daily is most certainly bearish. But in terms of an H4, until you get that lower low, you're still looking at this as a bullish range. But 2 hours to go. So this will be an important one to watch on the close. Because if this closes as a lower low, well, then we're looking to short somewhere in here. Let's take a look at TIA. TIA. H4 lower low close. Right? After putting in daily sweeps. Sweep, 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 sweep. H4 lower low. Below the Monday range now even, right? So until we get some sort of swing low formed here, it's a little premature to say where I'd be looking to short this, but there's a valid argument for it being somewhere like right here. It's a little narrow though, so maybe we might just widen it to here. Why do I say I need the candle closed? Well, because if this ends up somehow closing back up here in 2 hours, well, then the fair value gap is different. But potentially that's what we're looking. Looking rough out here though. TON. TON is one of the stronger coins, but it's not immune from a market-wide move, right? Like, okay, got a daily get rid of this. Daily higher high on TON. We've now got an area of demand right here. So if things turn bullish, or when we get those moves to the upside, TON is absolutely one you'd be looking to long because it's bullish compared to most of the market. So if you get something down into here, I outlined that yesterday when this H4 breaker. So if you get something that aligns with this daily demand and H4 breaker somewhere in here, you have a basis for a long. Maybe it comes down and tags the previous Monday range high, right? The Monday range high, you get something here, you get some constructive PA here, whether that be, you know, it SFPs that level there and then gives you something like that. SFPs that level there, or puts in an H4 swing point and you can SFP that level, you got something there, well then you've got something to work with. TON definitely one of the more bullish tokens right now, and as you can see, it's lost the least. TRX, interesting that that's green today. I mean, there's so much crime that takes place on the TRX token, like that's not even really worth analyzing because you're just at the whim of whatever the fuck they want to do, and I'm not really overly interested in playing on perps where crime can happen in either direction, right? Like, if we zoom out, what is this? This is completely unnatural, right? But it is holding this H4 fair value gap. H4 demand right in there, right on, super zoomed in, right? And it is down the least. So maybe this is a candidate to long. I'm not very interested in longing TRX. Thank you very much. WorldCoin. Okay. We have now put in, you know, what's the theme? What have we talked about so many times today? What is the theme then? H4 lower lows. Well, there's your next H4 lower low. After putting in daily SFPs, right? Sweep, 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 sweep. It's lost H4 now. This is a prime candidate because you are catching the first stair step lower. Where would I think that takes place? I mean, these H4 fair value gaps just look so compelling, right? Can it get all the way up here? Absolutely. Is it going to? It would take an amount of remarkable strength to get a bounce that high. Like, say you bottom somewhere here. Is WLD going to put in a 13% move to get up into supply? I don't know. I think these fair value gaps seem much more likely. That it's going to be something like that. But you don't want to guess. You just want to put the areas you're looking to do business and then look for constructive PA in that region. You know, maybe it's an H1 SFP. Maybe it's you get an H4 setup on an SFP type thing. I do say SFP a lot. I fucking love SFPs, especially on a time frame like H4 because they are very reliable. They're not always reliable, and there's going to be different market conditions where they aren't reliable and you have to use different tools. But for so long as they are working, you milk that fucking shit. XRP. Okay. It's finally put in and lost that H4. Right? Daily tag into supply. Look, this is a fucking weird looking chart. It looks like some sort of like Tim Burton character, right? Like, so what do we have here? H4, lower low. H4 swing high. Like, this is an easy one, but the meat of this short is already so taken. Like, realistically, this token in particular has a better chance of flipping H4 back to bullish than any other token, just given how much this is already shorted and what this distance is looking like, right? Because your next short setup is in here on XRP, on H4. It's not that hard for it to flip that, right? Because it is so volatile. I wouldn't be looking to short here. It's just, it's late to that move. you do have this level here on daily. I would monitor that on the close. Like if it closes back above that, that would kind of align, right, with getting back above there. Which was that H4 lower low. So if you could get daily to close above there, it's a lot easier for it to flip that H4 back to bullish. And then maybe you get a short up here, right? Like ideally on XRP, if the market is going to nuke, you're looking for a short up closer towards here. So up here, like here isn't very compelling. And I would venture to say, if we do get a market-wide belief bounce in the making, this flips back to bullish. So I wouldn't be looking to short this. Unless, you know, you get an H4 SFP of the actual swing high and a potential H1 lower low setup, then you can have a little bit more confidence, but I don't have great confidence in trying to short this one, just given how much it's already down. Pop in on Bitcoin real quick. Like this is looking promising. Let's keep it moving. Ave. H4, lower low, into supply. Sweep, 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 sweep. Boom. We now have a new H4 lower low with this beautiful fair value gap right here. Our H4 swing high. Now we're looking for shorts somewhere in here. This was a beautiful one that I shared with some friends last night. Beautiful short setup that played out. Mwah. Mwah. Keep it moving along. I mean, this just looks really weak, right? Prime candidate that for on bounces, you want to be looking to something like this for a short, right? What's interesting about compound is the primary H4 trend never got lost, right? All of this action here was actually just still in the bearish H4 range. It never flipped H4 bullish. And at this rate, like, just come down here and take this out, right? I would venture to say that next shorts probably come from, I mean, it may even just be here, right? It's so weak. A little bit harder to get a proper setup on something like this. Curve, one of the stronger tokens, has put in an H4 lower low. Let's take a look on daily. But daily is bullish. And this is an area of daily demand. You have more daily demand down here. It ran up into this 3-day level. I mean, this is even more telling here, right? SFP'd that. And on 3-day, you're even SFPing this level here. Is it even SFP? I mean, look at that. So price managed to get all the way up there, but look at how many swing highs it managed to take out. If it closes like this, 6 hours to go. I'm not saying that it's going to close like that, but it's not looking promising, right? If it can hold this area as demand on daily and get back above that level, but like I said, we had H4 lower low up into a 3-day level. Let's just leave this back up here. Let's leave this back up here. Right, because there. Right? H4 SFPs at the 3-day level. H4 lower low. Into an area of daily demand. But I think, I mean, it's either going to only bounce up to here for now and then form a proper swing low to get a next daily move, or it bounces up into here and then I think it shorts harder. It depends on how this plays out. Where's our Monday range? We're at the Monday low. So if this holds, you have a setup to get long back towards the Monday high, which aligns with that area there that I pointed out. 2 hours to go. I would monitor this one as a potential long candidate. DYDX, H4 lower low. It's a theme today, friends. It is a theme today. H4 lower low. H4 SFP or H4 fair value gap. Be looking for some sort of move up into there. To short. Eigen. Ooh. Now, we talk about ETH being a good beta to short against Bitcoin. Well, Eigen is a good beta to short against ETH. And if we look, we actually had H4 lower low set up there. Since reclaimed. There, this was the setup yesterday. Right, H4 lower low, tagged up into supply. Boom. Now we've had a next H4 lower low. This is such a wide displacement. I'm gonna get rid of that. Bring this over here. Also, these moves here we're up into a daily area. Rid of that. H4 lower low. Massive move down. I think a move into this fair value gap. Somewhere up in here. Let's see if there's an interesting daily level that it's just taking that out. It's taken out a lot of daily levels, right? Depends on how this candle closes. It's 6 hours till close. It's a while, ways away. But if any of these end up as SFPs, you can look for a decent relief bounce, but it's not looking that way, right? And on H4, so let's just see on daily. Like say it, I mean, it's come so close to that one, it'd be weird for it not to take it out. But let's just say somehow it manages to do something with this level. Right? Well, there's your target for your lower high. Somewhere around there. Price comes up in here, installs, there's your short. ENA. Been such a strong one, and it's one of the projects we're bullish on. We're bullish stablecoin and yield and RWAs and platforms that enable that. And ENA is poised to capture a lot of that. Well, we've got daily SFPs in supply. We've now printed an H4 lower low. This one has a potential as a candidate to get a better bounce than some of the other tokens. Because this move has not, I mean, it's been a 10% move, so it's not nothing. There is a fair value gap here. I'm aware and do see that there, that maybe that's all that it gets. But this to me seems like the candidate that might actually get a move up into there. Here's your H4 swing high. You get something up in there, it's a short. Let's just take a look and see other times. I mean, throughout this consolidation, it's lost H4 there, right? Lower low, and it managed to recapture it. Higher high there. Made a lower low there and then recaptured. So it's pretty choppy on H4. But I do think this is a short up here. Jito. How's everybody doing, by the way? Oh, almost got 250 of you guys. Mr. What Is It To Ya? Nice name. Mr. What's It To Ya? GM. Does SFPs mean the same as liquidity sweeps or stop loss hunting? So a swing fail pattern are incredibly effective towards range extremities where liquidity is typically resting, right? So if it happens near a range high as a bearish SFP, it means that liquidity, if you subscribe to those theories of liquidity graphs, right? To me, the simplest way to view it, an SFP is just price attempting to get above a level that has already been established. So you have a swing level already that you're trying to get above, trying to close above, and price fails to recapture that level. Whether that be a bearish SFP to the upside, means that sellers outpaced buyers in that particular region, failing to allow price to go higher. And in the inverse, for a bullish SFP near lows or at a swing low that's been set, it shows that price tried to get below that level, but buyers stepped in and didn't allow it to close below that level. That's the simplest way to look at it. But yes, in liquidity theory and stop hunting, that is what that is. An SFP is that, right? And they're meant as a sort of psychological mindfuck, because as price starts to get above a level, you get breakout traders or people that are overly bullish on something when, you know, the high time frame is maybe telling them otherwise, to try and long into that level. And the inverse, you get bear tards trying to go short into a level where you want to actually be looking to get long, right? We're bullish at the lows, bearish at the highs, especially on significant time frame ranges. So hopefully that answers your question. SFP, yes, it's just a version of a liquidity sweep or a stop hunt. The simplest way to view it is just price tried to get above or below a certain level and it failed to accept. Okay, Jito, again, H4 lower low. You know, I laid all these up. I know the stream yesterday was fucking long and it wasn't really intended as a thing to sit there and digest the entire process. There's just some work I needed to get done and decided to stream. But daily supply, H4 lower low that I marked out on stream with the supply zone. Now we've put in another H4 lower low. Here's our swing high. Here's our lower low. This one is a little bit tough because you don't really have much distance back to where you'd be looking to short from, right? So maybe this one trades lower first before you get a short up, and it's like, okay, it's just lost the Monday range, right? The Monday range high is traded back within. Maybe you get some sort of tag into the mid range and then you get that move up into there, and then it's a much more compelling short. But trying to catch a short from like here, it's not as compelling. I want this to actually give a larger move down before we get the move up. Like, as counter to logic as that seems, like I want it to go lower first before it goes up to go lower. It's really what you want to see, because this is just such a short distance that if it manages to get up here quickly, maybe it flips it back to bullish. Jupe, we had an H4 lower low. Theme of the day, folks, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is why you don't want to be listening to all of the overly bullish accounts. You want to determine your own bias and stick to it and not let it cloud your judgment. All right, I mean, Jupe is in an area of monthly demand, right? This is monthly demand. Weekly demand. 3 days bearish. 3 day and below is bearish. No denying that. Now, Jupe, you know, there's some due diligence type aspects to a coin like Jupe that you need to be aware of, right? Like Jupiter. I wonder if actually this may be inaccurate. I wonder if Jupiter is still aggregating DEX orders for pump swap. I don't know the actual answer to that. I know that Radium is directly affected. I wonder how Jupiter's affected by that. You know what we can do really quickly? No, this is not a research focused show. I'm just here to do these charts, but what we can check really quickly. Let's just see. Here we go. Where does Jupiter fall? I am looking for the fees taken by protocols. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Fees revenue. Here we go. Here we go. I mean, still doing quite well. Jupiter's still doing quite well, so maybe it's not as affected. Like, I wonder where Radium falls now. Look at that. Radium dropping down the listings. I wonder if they even track pump swap yet. Like they have, oh, let's just see. Oh, they do have pump swap. Look at that. 7.2 mil compared to Radium at, I mean, that's still significant as fuck. 999. So I think it was well overblown. Oh, that's yearly. Sorry. Fuck. Okay. Here we go. 24-hour fees. 657K versus Jupiter. Or sorry, versus pump swap, 2 million. That's significant, right? Radium's got to be feeling that. I'm not a big research guy, but things like this do help you if you're trying to build a case for buying a token or not. Even though we let the chart tell us what it wants to tell us, and you know, not so hot on Jupiter. I'm sure the Radium chart looks just as ass, but wow. 600K on Jupiter versus 2 mil for pump swap. Significant. They are eating their lunch. Okay, back to Jupe real quick. H4, lower low. Fair value gap there. There's your range high. Doubt it has enough strength. We want to see what happens up in here. Is there a swing that we're putting in here? Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's tempting to SFP this level here on Jupe. A lot of hours to go until the daily close. But if it recaptures that, you know, then we're looking for that short. It doesn't change the outcome that we're looking for a short on H4. Lido, also a good beta short against ETH. Let's go to daily, see what we've got. Up into supply. H4 SFP within supply. And let's see. Why did I have that marked out and not this? Let's see. There was your H4 high. This was your low. So here we go. This even gave an early warning sign before it nuked right there when it got that close below. See, even I make mistakes sometimes. I'm not perfect. There's your H4 swing high. Highly unlikely it gets all the way back up into that supply there. Much more realistic that we're looking for something here. So you can see, is there a daily level that we might, excuse me. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just marking out previous swing points on daily. Like when I'm going through and looking at that, it's looking very likely that it's going to fail that level. But then if we pop down to H4, it aligns with that fair value gap. It gives us a much better target to frame for our short, right? Like look at how You know, you get price up into there and you're thinking, well, I'm looking to short. Well, starts giving me SFPs there. There's your entry, right? It's just these little things that help so that you don't have to guess so much, right? Even though, yes, we can do something like throw up a fib to see where an optimal trade entry might be. So it's telling us it's somewhere between here and here, right? Moving along. Link. Dinky Linky. You know what's fucking aggravating about Link? I tried to short this a day too early. Where were we? We were somewhere in here. Yeah, we were here. And I tried to take a short off an H1 trade. This is why I prefer H4, even though sometimes all you get is H4. But why I prefer an H4 trigger as a beautiful time frame. I was trying to take shorts, and I did short off these H1 triggers on Link. I was like, we're in the daily supply. I'm getting these H1 SFPs. So I was short from here. It's going well. Next day I wake up and boom. I was just a fucking day too early. Fucking Link. You know what it made me realize? Why they're called Link Marines? Because you get into a fucking trade and you just want to fucking shoot people. No, I'm kidding. When realistically, I should have just waited for that H4 lower low. Look at that. Look at that beautiful tag and drop. What are we dealing with now? Same thing. Fresh H4 lower low. H4 lower low. Like theme of the day. I hate to be a fucking robot, but it's like, you know, if the market's telling me, if the market's giving me lemons, I'm gonna make a lemonade. H4 lower low. There is our fair value gap where I would look for the next short, potentially some move up into there. Boom. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Let's just fucking keep pressing along. We're almost at an hour and a half. We're gonna start wrapping this up. I don't want to keep dragging this out. Maker, one of the strongest coins. It has tagged daily supply. Sorry, it's tagged 3-day supply. This 3-day area here. Daily has flipped bullish. I'm looking for a reason if the market isn't going to just go to Goblin Town. I'm looking for reasons to get long in here. Give me a pullback into H4 demand. Give me some sort of setup like this. I'm going to look to long that. You know, and Maker also falls into that bucket of RWA, real yield, etc., etc. Stable coins, all that stuff. Like, I'm very bullish that sector in terms of where institutional capital is going to flow into the market and potentially propel us to a next leg of the bull market. Okay, I want to find something in there. Ondo. Well, I drew this out yesterday. It wasn't even strong enough to get up into there, right? But I did give you 2 potential short setups on Ondo, right? Daily supply. Struggled with that daily level there, closed back below, and then just fucking Nuketown. But it had already had an H4 lower low. Now we've put in the next H4 lower low. We can just repurpose these squiggles real quick. There's our H4 swing high. Let's repurpose these squiggles real quick. I'm gonna venture to say you don't get much more than that. Let's bring in an H4 fair value gap. Right there. That's what I'm looking for. Get rid of this one because I don't think it's as relevant. You know, we could, on a lot of these as well, you can also draw out where the daily swing level that price started trading down from. Because if we do get an environment for a few days of bullishness and it pushes up into there, there's the next SFP to look for, right? But, you know, give me something like that. There's your next short on Ondo. The value of one condo is going down in Ondo terms. Fifth, let's really start to pick this up. I mean, look how weak this is. I don't like, if you get some sort of bounce, right? Daily supply. I don't think it's going to make it anywhere near up there. I think realistically, all you got is this. If some miraculous reason Pitt manages to get up here, different story, but I just think that's probably the short. Let's see, are there some, okay. All right, how I did on that, well, there's nothing even here, right? Maybe it comes in tough, like there's no swing points here for me to, like we go to H12. You know, Trader Main is the H12 master. I don't really love H12 as much. I find that my effectiveness, my profitability is way higher on the H4 daily multi-time frame analysis compared to the H12 H1. But to each their own, whatever works for you, right? That's the beauty of the market. You figure out what works for you and you stick to it. You don't just keep switching around. You don't say, oh, I'm using this on this chart and then this on that chart, and then tomorrow I'm using this time frame and then next week this. No. Figure out the time frames that work for you and stick to them. That's how you develop your system and consistency. Because if you keep jumping around to time frame to time frame to time frame, you have no benchmark against what to base your hit rate and profitability. Boom. Okay. Synthetics made a lower low into supply. Boom. Right. Like I drew all these out for you guys during the last stream. What we'll be looking for, if it's somehow like it's the same thing. Every single chart we're looking at is we're looking for fair value gap plays. I really just don't think we're going to get all the way up into supply. That's significant bounces after a big move like that. We're mostly just looking for dead cat complacencies into some level around here. And this might be a good one to look for some sort of well, if it holds this, right? If it gives you an SFP here on daily, if you get an SFP there on daily, but then we're still looking to short it here, right? Like the more compelling side of the market right now is shorting. Look at how that aligns with the Monday low. So there you go. You get a bounce here somewhere up into here, you know? So you get a bounce up into here. You're looking to short this move or some sort of SFP in there, right? We'll just leave that so we can do a little clout claiming later. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is taking these fucking trades and making money, people, right? Like, make sure you don't fall into the trap of just staring at charts all day and thinking, oh, I'm so great. I drew these levels out and it went according to plan. Take the fucking trades, right? Doge. H4, lower low. We had a move up into daily supply. We've now got H4 lower lows. Doge is volatile as fuck. There's your H4 swing high. I think what I'd be looking for some bounce up into there. It's a solid short. Are you even getting a lower low? I mean, it may not even, because you've gone below this one here even, right? And look at how it's projecting off there too. But I think a bounce from Monday mid up into here, this is a solid short. Let's quickly try and pound through these. Let's try and get this done and dusted. H4 into supply, lower low, H4 lower low. Below the Monday, right? Below Monday low. A lot of these that have gone beyond the Monday low, it's a little bit conflicting, right? Because like I said at the top of the stream, I'm actually looking as a potential long on Bitcoin if that gives that. Let's just check on Bitcoin real quick. All right, this is looking promising. So we're looking for, if this closes like this, stop down here, longing up into here, see what happens. If it could recapture the Monday low, then we're looking to play it back to the Monday high. And then it might change our perspective on a lot of different alts, right? But for the most part, like 90% bias skewed, you want to be looking to take these as shorts. What were we looking at? What was I just looking at? Go. Like, I don't think Goat's reaching all the way back up there at all. I mean, it's almost all the way back down to the low. Wow. What a piece of shit. Like, should have just been, you could have just literally shorted the listing. Right, as soon as it broke there, broke below there, short that, and just fucking logged off. But this is where we are now, and it's dangerous shorting, like getting overly bearish when you're this close to the lows. This token probably deserves 0, right? But you get some sort of bounce there into the Monday low. You're looking to short. If it can recapture the Monday low with closes, then you'd be saying to yourself, okay, maybe I have some sort of play up into here, right? Which aligns with the Monday mid. One step at a time, though. Meme, I don't even know what the fuck this token is, but like, look at this shit. Look at this garbage. H4 broke below. Quick retest and fucking nuke to Hades. Like, what is this fucking coin even? So, you know how I've been showing you, okay, looking on daily. Well, let's do this real quick first. Let's draw this fair value gap on H4. That's where we'd think a bounce would come up into. Here's our H4 swing high, so not very useful. Right? I do not think that price is going to get up into there. Let's use this fair value gap though as a potential area, right? And then if we come here, draw out these levels here, which, you know, didn't even. It's so weak, it's well below that. So, you know, this is probably a pipe dream. I don't know. I was hoping that this was going to align with somewhere in that box, but it did not, alas. There is one there. This is like very unlikely that price is going to bounce this high on this fucking piece of shit token. What even is this token? I have no idea. Right? There you go. Okay. If by some magic reason you get a bounce up into there, I suspect this is the extent of where the bounce goes. So I don't even know what this token is. Meme. No idea. Okay. Pepe, H4 lower low, right? They've been going higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. Well, now the trend is reversed within daily supply. We ran up into daily supply. SFP, the swing high. It had actually, okay, it's been doing bullish stair stepping on daily. So truthfully, the swing low on daily doesn't lose market structure on daily until here. Here is our daily range low. Here is our daily range high. The problem with that is all we've done is we've run up into 3-day and are looking likely to put in an SFP of the 3-day swing high in an area of supply, overlapping supply, right? There's overwhelming levels of supply going on here. And now we've put in this H4 lower low. Let's move back to daily. Let's get rid of these things because we don't need to see these anymore. This is the primary daily range we're working with. So yes, you could be looking for a lower high here. Not saying that that is not the case. But on H4, we are bearish again. And this looks like a probably good area. But maybe it gives you a bounce all the way up into this supply. Right? It's finding an area of support on a, is that a weekly level? It's recaptured this weekly level or it's attempting to, right? The weekly closes in 2 days. If weekly can close back above this level, you're bullish. If it closes below, again, weekly, so in 2 days, 6 hours from now, weekly closes below, bearish, above, bullish. It's really as simple as that. Even with this daily looking like this, if we lose the weekly level, that is your primary. Doesn't mean we can't get a push up into one of these areas on 4 hour. Trump, what a piece of garbage, couldn't even come up and tag supply. Well, I tagged this area, which is just hindsight analysis. No, we were directionally correct there. Yeah, I mean, maybe what you're saying to yourself is, give me a move up into here. Looking to short something in that fair value gap. Take a look at whiff. Lower low. Tag into supply. Lower low. Story of the day. You know, I would love to have more bullish things to mark out, but this is the environment we find ourselves in, and we trade the chart, not our emotions and not our hopium. Okay, makes a move up into there. It's a solid short, right? It's losing this weekly level. Actually, that's a monthly level, right? Monthly closes in 3 days. So there's a chance it gets back above it. Daily SFP within daily supply. Boom. While also putting in the H4 lower low after the daily SFP within daily supply into supply on H4, lower low. Again, into supply, lower low. These are the things you're looking for. I'm really trying to drill this home so you can find these things on your own. So you don't have to rely on me. As much as I love doing this, I want to give you guys the high time frame and then you the tools so that on low time frame you can figure out what you're looking for to determine your own bias and to determine your own setups. Because on low time frame, what good is it for me to show you stuff when the trade is already underway, right? You want to be able to find that shit yourself. You know, if it gives you a bounce up into there on ARB, like who's buying ARB anyways, right? ARB was actually a massive help to me back in the day for a couple of reasons. One, trading on mainnet made 0 sense to me from a capital perspective at the time. And two, I got a ginormous airdrop from them from being one of the very first to bridge over and start using the chain. Literally like day one of it being live on mainnet. And it was like a whole new world unlocked to me because all of a sudden you could do all these fun things in DeFi that had been cost prohibitive on mainnet. But I mean, look, what a sad chart. I don't think that I ever sold the top, but I definitely sold the majority of my shit here, somewhere in here. And I think I was fully out of it before this leg up, unfortunately. Nah, that's not true. I think I still had some, and I was trading a bit into here, but I never sold the top. So long ago now. Can't even really remember. Kind of sad to see that this is what this token has turned out to, but it is what it is. No community member, right? You just trade the chart. Don't become a community member. Well, if you get some sort of push up into there, if you're even wanting to trade this token, right? Like, I mean, yeah, ETH betas have been giving beta moves, especially to the downside. And ARB is an ETH beta, being an L2. Okay, Blast had been bullish, right? But daily SFPs in supply, even though we've made a daily higher high, like maybe this area holds. but SFP at the highs. We've now, oh, this is ugly as fuck. Like, this screams manipulation to me. H4 lower low, all right? I don't really want to trade a chart that's been scammed like that on a short, because maybe they just try and scam it up again. I don't know. Not really that compelling. Mantle just looks fucking weird. I don't know what this is, so I'm just going to avoid that. OP. H4 lower low, up into supply. Sweeps on H4 within H4 supply after hitting daily supply. These are the things you need to look out for so that you can enter your trade, have your proper bias in place, and enter a trade with confidence. Maybe this monthly level is a good place where you might look to take your scalp short. Like, we're hopefully closer to a high time frame bottom than not. And it's risky to be shorting the closer we get towards range lows, but you got to trade the chart that's in front of you. Daily supply, H4 lower low. Bearish high time frame market structure. It is what it is, right? Let's just see if there's, okay. You know, maybe that aligns with that level that we just outlined. Not even, it's below that, right? So it just shows you the weakness in some of these coins. We got 4 more to go. Let's fucking rip through these. Let's rip through these. Let's rip through these. All right, again, daily supply. Well, now we've put in H4 lower lows. Got this massive fair value gap here. I'd be looking for the lower high. Seems like a pipe dream that you might be able to short from that high up, but you never know. Who was it that used to short this like crazy back in the day? Trader XO. Shout out to Trader XO. Brilliant range trader. And breakout trader. He's a fucking great trader. I learned a lot from him when I was in my heavy education phase. You know, it's in an area of daily demand. So Monday low. If it can close back within the Monday range low, makes that Monday range high seem plausible, and there's your juicy short, right? Juicy short. Juicy. Ugh. Even like last night I was saying, who's fucking trading this, right? H4 lower low into supply. Boom. New H4 lower low. Well below the Monday range lows. Right? Maybe you got to move up into the Monday range low to short. Give me 1 sec. I will be right back. And then we're going to wrap this up. We got 3 more tokens to go. I don't even know if they're worth looking at, but let's just fucking wrap this up. We're here. We've made it all the way through. Now we've got our setups lined up. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Apologies about that. The fam jam is home. Getting ready for pizza night tonight. My wife is a very talented chef, and she makes a banger pizza that we are gonna mouth fuck later on. Let's take a look. Are there some comments going on here? Ooh. Moses said he had to go. Awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We're almost done. Okay. Ape. There's your fair value gap. It is wide. You know, I don't even know who's trading Ape. Who the fuck is trading Ape? But I mean, with a 10% downside move, it's a prime short. So, you know, you get bounces on some of these. You're looking at prime short candidates. Ew. Ugh. Right? What is that move? Like, blur and blast is the same shit, right? It's the same guy that created both of them. This chart is very inorganic. Let's just put it that way. Right? Very inorganic looking chart. That's all I gotta say. What is that? Like fucking ugly AF. It might even be putting in another H4 low. But a bounce up into there. I mean, it's at the Monday low. You know, do you want to trade something that just did that? Probably not. But if you get a bounce up into there, short that shit. It's probably one. Ooh, right? Money. I just fucking laid these things up for you guys. Laid these up. This looks like absolute dog shit, but maybe, you know, bounce up in there, you short. And last, and certainly least, I suppose, Gala. This had some bullish developments recently, but the chart tells me it does not want to be bullish. I mean, look, it's made a daily higher high. It's trying to find support in daily demand here in this cluster. This is obviously not going to hold this breaker. So I'll just adjust the analysis. It's always wise to do, right? But like, there's your daily demand. What's a breaker, a fair value gap, or an OB? Those are just three different types of supply and demand. Well, here's your OB style. You know, maybe you recapture the Monday low in here, and you can look to long it back up into here somewhere. It's not looking so hot right now. Flip back to Bitcoin really quickly. Still a little over an hour until we get that H4 close, but it is looking increasingly, not increasingly, but it is looking constructive. Give me that H4 close. I'm going to look to long this. Beyond that, nothing much else. We ran through every single token on the Vertex watch list that I put together. GG to anybody who joined along. Now we have our plans in place for the next moves ahead so that you can move forward this weekend with a little bit of confidence in what you're going to do, so that when price reaches certain areas, you are not confused or feeling FOMO, right? We don't want to be looking to get bullish and long after moves off of these. We have potential counter trend setups forming to get long on some of these tokens. I'm definitely looking for a reason to get long on Bitcoin. If that's even just to give us a move to a lower high or a Monday range play, we shall see. But let us not confuse ourselves that when/if price makes a move up on a lot of these alts, that we're flipping bullish on them. As we've outlined today, very clearly, we ran up into daily supply and have put in one and sometimes two H4 lower lows in that bearish realignment with the high time frame, putting in bearish stair stepping. So probability wise, we are looking for the next lower highs to form. And that's perfectly fine. We have perps at our disposal. We can trade the market two ways. Price goes up, we try and capture that. Price going down, we try and capture that. We don't need to feel bullish or bearish. We just trade the market both directions. Obviously, it's nice when the overall market is in a bullish trend and everyone's happy and our spot bags are going up. But once you remove all of that out of your mindset and you just focus on a market being a market, that has two directions to it, and every high has a lower high that needs to form, and every lower low has a lower high, etc., etc., you just trade it that way. And it's a much more calm experience, and it's a much more freeing and liberating way to view the market, because you're not beholden to an internal bias that cripples you or makes you feel depressed when prices are going down or euphoric when prices are going up. You want to try and remain as neutral as possible so that you can approach the market from a level head and execute when the setups unfold. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that joined me on this stream. I'm running up on 2 hours, a little bit longer than I wanted to go, but I think it's a good review for the weekend before getting into it, so you know what you're looking for on these tokens. Once again, waiting for that H4 close on Bitcoin. I do want to thank all you Chads, and if there's any Chadettes out there who joined throughout this stream. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the channels wherever you're joining us from, whether that be YouTube, Twitch, or X. You can find links in the description below, or in the About section, or on my X profile. Join the AFM Telegram community. Join the Daily Edge 0xRapture's Thoughts Telegram group, where I use like a journal and put out my thoughts throughout the day and potential setups that I'm watching. Big shout out to the sponsors of the show, The Daily Edge, thedailyedge.com/subscribe, and ChainEDGE, ChainEDGE.io. And don't forget, if you are looking for a Perps platform and you would like to do that on chain, there is a ref link to Vertex in the description and in the About section on Twitch. And if you are more focused in the shitcoin realm of the new launch market on chain, and you're looking for a trading terminal, my ref link for BullX Neo is in the links as well. You get 10% off your fees. And on that, this is 0xRapture. This has been Astrology for Men, coffee charts and a cigarette, and I am signing off. Until next time, ciao.